Yeah, safe, alright, let's make a pro. I want him to look like he's on bath salts. He needs to look slightly more like he's on a register. Sprinkle a bank fraud, a teaspoon of perverted force of justice. And there we go, I think I've made him, boys. He's in real life. Oh man, they grow up so fast. Yo guys, it is your boy Duran here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, this week was the Grammys. No, the FTW intro music did not win anything, but it's always the scene of music, culture, and a semi-detached house on Jaden Smith's head. If this is in London, by the way, to scale, that's costing £2.1 million. Kendrick Lamar took home a sweep with Not Like Us, a diss track at Drake, who I'm sure will be suing the entire of the Grammy organization. It's basically named after him, for God's sake. He'll be counting his earnings next year after being clapped by this in the NFL halftime show next week.
Thank you for the 20-cent tip. Appreciate that. That'll go to a good cause.
On the theme of not winning things so far in 2025 though, and we head to Arsenal. But this time it was no Ovidie. Well, actually, in fairness, we start though with undoubtable silverware for the Gunners. The Man City Evisceration Invitational. You've heard all about Arsenal's peppering of Man City, and it was a peppering. The Gunners annihilated Pep's men to win 5-1 in a statement victory. The setup for this game was spectacular. El Humblico. Erling Haaland versus Gabriel after the ball incident of the reverse fixture. Mikel Arteta being told to stay humble. It started badly for Man City. They could have been punished even further, only for Kai Havertz to sign a job application for a Set 8 PE student with dismiss the finishing ability of a vasectomy victim. And after the reverse fixture, Erling Haaland was quoted as asking youngster Miles Lewis-Skelly who the fuck he was. Well, he knows now. The 18-year-old scored and dropped Erling's celebration right on his forehead, winning a shithousery award this week. And Gabriel wasn't letting the Norwegian get away with it either, celebrating in his face for the first goal and then asking him to get his boot later on for him. All of this caused controversy under the circumstances. Gary Neville suggesting the whole thing was disrespectful, but he loved it in the reverse fixture when Haaland was giving it to Gabriel. Not like that. Well, I mean, unless...
Is it a colour thing? Is it a colour thing?
It would only get worse for Man City with Kai Havertz actually managing to score a goal in this one, and then Ethan Nwaneri coming off the bench to grab Arsenal's fifth after a man-of-the-match performance versus Girona in the Champions League. And Arsenal fans were loving it immediately. A humble 5-1 shirt made. There was a stay humble sign in the crowd, and the stadium announcer even played Kendrick Lamar humble over the tannoy. Yeah, that's getting an award too, and I'll tell you, it's not a Grammy. Erling Haaland responded by pointing to his golden Premier League badge, something that Arsenal fans haven't been able to do for about 20 years, and a lot of fans have been quick to defend him, saying that Arsenal have been over the top in their celebrations, claiming that this is exactly what Haaland meant by staying humble, because they've won one game against City and now they're giving it the big one. But honestly, that's just not very fun, is it? At the end of the day, they've just absolutely battered the reigning champions. What else can they do apart from celebrate and give some back after the reverse fixture? If we all lived like this on the greater spectrum of football, no one would celebrate anything unless they won the Champions League. If you're gonna dish stuff out, you've got to be able to take it. I'm looking at you, Gabriel, a little bit later on. Originally, Miles Lewis-Skelly should have actually been suspended for this one after being sent off versus Wolves, but that, of course, was rescinded. He shouldn't have even been on the pitch. And that's just Arsenal's number 5. The stadium was screaming his name when he scored a deflected second. I, for one, will be conducting a different avenue of dealing with that goal. But overall, yeah, I just want to say, all right, you know, Arsenal, very, very good. Incredible performance. But this Manchester City team is bullshit, bro. They are was. What is going on? I've had enough of this. San Marino are tweeting them, asking for a game. Stefan Ortega has a grass allergy. His rating for this one, abysmal. People are calling him Jenna Ortega, you know. He only turns up on a European night. Because his highlights for this one, pretty static overall. Bernardo Silva at least wasn't static, but he didn't do anything else. The guy was out there for cardio and cardio only. He was rustled by Ethan Nwaneri, and Alfie Haaland, Erling's dad, was rustled by Arsenal fans on Twitter, reminding them that they don't win trophies very often. Your son's missing, by the way, and this is your concern. Go and find him. The amount of goals Man City conceded, by the way, Pep Guardiola must have been down in water at a ridiculous rate. There's less H2O in the River Thames than there is in Pep's stomach right now. But with all the beef going on, if you're a Man City player, surely you're backing Liverpool to win the league. They'll be celebrating with Mo Salah when he scores a 4th in Liverpool's game versus Man City later in the season. But things didn't go quite as well for Arsenal when it was time to actually win something. No one cares. They were 2-0 down down after the first leg with 90 minutes between them and Wembley. They decided that consistency was key, and so they lost 2-0 again. Michael Oliver was firmly celebrating this result as Arsenal succumbed to a 4-0 semi-final defeat. Alexander Isak made Arsenal's centre-back look like Saliba Carpenter, bruv. William Celibate, bro, and he got bent over in this one. His highlights were a shocker. Isak might be the best striker in the league. Well, no, he is the best striker in the league right now, and he's done Arsenal absolutely dirty. The Metropolitan Police will have turned up to arrest the French centre-back. Oh, wait, no, that was actually just for Thomas Partey. William was being walked at full time by the Swedish striker. I don't even need the GTA image for this, because as he was chasing Isak in behind, he was lacking a little bit of pace.
I'm about to disrupt a football match.
One Arsenal fan had his mum buy a flag for him to take to a game, only to realise that his mum had accidentally got him a flag that had Arsenal's badge on, but said Al-Qaeda as the text. No, she meant it. It was on purpose. She's seen what Arteta's been doing this season. Arsenal fans had barely climbed Mount Neverest at St James's Park to get into their seats before they were out of the game. Meanwhile, there was a little bit of spike in this one too. Kieran Trippier getting in Gabriel's face as he went in for a challenge. Very unhappy about this situation. If you're gonna dish it out, brother. Arsenal's finishing poor in this one. Odegaard should have scored. Then again, their fans are called gooners, so watching everyone else finish shouldn't really be an alien concept to them. But at full time, and Anthony Gordon really ripped into them.
I think it's important for us to stay humble now.
Yeah, nah, listen, everyone's going to be telling her to stay humble, innit? You've been humbled by Logan Paul. That is not good. Mikel Arteta, meanwhile, will have been drafting up the referee's council tax band as a reason for the defeat.
It's a disgrace.
And Newcastle highlighted the football as the culprit for yet another 2-0 victory. This, of course, after Arteta complained about it after the first leg. Yeah, it's a shithousery award for the men in black and white. Over on Arsenal Fan TV, and it's fair to say Ty got a little bit distracted.
We haven't beaten Newcastle at all this season.
Black Lives Matter. I want to say thank you to the NHS, to the doctors, to the nurses, to the teachers, to the surgeons, to the care workers, to the volunteers.
Yeah, you know what? Shout out everyone from the bubonic plague as well whilst we're at it. Meanwhile, it was a beautiful day at St James's Park for their fans as the late Cheick Tiote's son was in attendance. Newcastle tweeted there would be no 4-0 to 4-4 comeback this time around, but very fitting after what his dad was able to achieve at St James's Park. Now, it turns out Kanye West isn't the only whited-out individual to crash out this week, as Tottenham managed to match him, though with significantly less need for professional help, unless you're an actual fan of the club, in which case the trauma is serious. Spurs took a 1-0 lead into their Carabao Cup semi-final second leg after a goal from Lucas Bergvall late on 2 weeks ago via Liverpool, only for the Reds to run a train on them and win 4-0 in the second. Spurs fans could be seen sprinting out of the ground in disarray. A 4-0 defeat. They're gonna need a very big third leg to turn this one around. Honestly, Spurs fans are in a toxic relationship with their own football club, and Ange Postecoglou at this point is wanting to off himself. He wasn't too impressed with Liverpool's goal scoring in this one.
Final of a cup, start really well, control the game, allow a goal from a corner, allow another average goal, and a fluke goal, and another average goal.
Meanwhile, Virgil van Dijk caused a little bit of controversy here. He did score the final goal for the Reds, but some people think he should have been sent off for his collision with Richarlison early on in the game. People think this is a red card. He's just put his arm across to defend the ball. He's not actually connected with Richarlison in the face. There's definitely tackles that Van Dijk should have been sent off for before, but this isn't one of them. He then went to pick up Richarlison after a clash later on, and then refused the handshake. Yeah, he's done him. Kanye, in his absolute meltdown of biblical proportions, posted "fuck Verge," which to me seems out of pocket, really, though Richarlison will have been agreeing firmly and liking on 7 burner accounts. 0 shots on target in this game for Tottenham. Pretty horrible display overall, battered truly, after playing really well in the first leg. It's crazy because Alisson was rested in this game, and his replacement, Kevin Kelleher, well, he got a rest too, as it turns out. I feel bad for Spurs to an extent here. Another season of not winning anything, despite Ange Postecoglou's promises. And speaking of which, though it isn't really his fault at all, is there a world in which he keeps his job? Is he done at this point? Let me know down in the comments section. Now, the most normal week of the Premier League season saw Forest edge a 7-goal thriller, 7-0 against Brighton.
7-0! 7 bloody 0!
Once you learn not to question anything that happens in the world of football this season, you're actually at peace. Like, Forest, Brighton and Bournemouth have all slapped each other differently at various points in the season. We might have to consider Forest winning the league. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. But after this result, I'm not gonna lie, we might have to detach Brighton from the whole rest of the UK. Nottingham Forest admin will have got hand cramp after all the updates here. Their tweet kind of indicated this late on in the game. Meanwhile, Chris Wood was added again, scoring a hat-trick. He might might be the best striker in the world. He's not a wonder kid. He's arrived on the scene late. This is a wonder man. A wonder dad, bro. Did you know, by the way, as I saw someone tweet this, he played at the World Cup of 2010 with New Zealand. That is a mental timeline. Another hero of this was Anthony Elanga, who grabbed a hat-trick of assists. The fact United let him go for 15 million is criminal. Meanwhile, an undercover Jack Grealish scored in this one. He's grabbed more goals for Forest than Man City this year. It was a good week for United, in that they only disappointed everybody once, getting defeated by Ollie Glasner's Palace. United fans will be waking up depressed in the morning, remembering that they're United fans. We might have to decommission this whole football club, I'm gonna be honest with you. Valentine's Day's coming up. If you're a Red Devils fan, just break up with the whole establishment. They were defeated here by 2 Jean-Philippe Matetinho strikes, bringing out his signature celebration, leaving Jim Ratcliffe depressed, realising he's got to go and buy a new corner flag now.
Come on.
It's 13 games, Premier League games, at the helm now for Ruben Amorim, and they still find themselves 13th in the league. No doubt, due to poor defensive displays, Lenny Yoro has been abysmal. He was shocking again versus Palace.
How old are you? I'm 15, Mr. Bennett.
Motherfucker, you look 30.
He hasn't recovered since getting beaten by Kamaldeen Suleiman, and honestly, I don't blame him. But even more disastrously for United was an injury to Lisandro Martinez, an ACL tear that sees him out for the rest of the season and further. I do wish him the best in terms of his recovery. You don't wish anyone, any sort of rival or a player that you have a fondness to. An ACL injury is horrible to come back from. But I do hope that it prevents him from doing the double-footed, leg-breaking challenges he's been trying to do on everybody else this season. Either way, I've got to wish him the best, because he's probably still using the same knee machine that Roy Keane was on about 30 years ago. As for United, they've lost 2-0 here and not invested in a single striker. And yeah, their season's done. Boys and girls, it's time for the FNG transfer roundup. So I said, look, just put the body in the trunk and then get the shovel off of Amazon. Hello and welcome everybody to the FNG transfer roundup, the last place to hear about transfer news, and the first place to hear about what Liverpool did. Nothing. We start, though, at Aston Villa, where they've made the loan signing of Manchester United outcast Marcus Rashford. The Prophet saw this one coming years ago. There were complaints that such a well-established Manchester United youth graduate only received 3 nice messages upon leaving the club. We can show you his exclusive response here.
Fucking pagan.
Hey, yo, don't let him do that.
I've been there for you since day one.
And it's some transfer window for Aston Villa after they brought in Marco Asensio as well, in a set of moves that even FIFA players are describing as unrealistic. A truly brilliant day for Villa fans, spending all that money, yet they still haven't managed to pay this designer on Twitter. Aston Villa, cough up the cash. It was a busy day for Arsenal on deadline day. Someone had to come in and fix their air fryer at like 3:30, so that was a bit of a... Meanwhile, for Tottenham, and after initially being rejected by the young Frenchman, they brought in Matthijs Tel from Bayern Munich. Their announcement was sensational.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Though Bayern Munich man Harry Kane will have blood on his hands. Apparently, young Matthijs was given advice to go to Spurs by Harold. He clearly does not like you, brother. Elsewhere in the PGMOL apparently want to ban provocative celebrations. They've said they're looking into a world in which things like Miles Lewis-Skelly's celebration against Manchester City are seen as inciting other players and will receive some sort of punishment. Jamie Vardy and Neil Maupay have been doing this for years, by the way. The Premier League have actively championed it, but as soon as Miles Lewis-Skelly, an 18-year-old, does it, it's suddenly a problem. It's a sad day, honestly. Gone far too soon. Rest in peace, the shithousery award. It's a terrible idea. I absolutely hate this. You're literally devaluing your own product. Things like Lewis Skelly celebrating like that. Even Ange the other day doing the seagull celebration against Brighton. People like Jamie Vardy, Neil Maupay, they add some spice to your product. You want that. Lewis Skelly has been a talking point for over a week now just because he sat and did a celebration like Erling Haaland. It's so stupid. Please don't do that. There was plenty of celebrations for Chelsea, who came back from behind to beat West Ham 2-1 with help from Pedro Neto and an Aaron Wan-Bissaka own goal. Now, Chelsea backup Jurgensen was in goal for this one. I assume all he managed to do is show his manager that he can actually use his hands. Robert Sanchez in awe, realising his goalkeeping competitor actually owns a forearm. At the other end of the pitch, and Cole Palmer was left smiling when absolutely clamped. Any player who smiles when he gets fouled is a problem. Is a real issue. Even the referee was trying to clamp him, for fuck's sake. The reverse angle on this one, an absolute madness. To be honest, Cole had other things on his mind. Baffled, realising that West Ham isn't just a left piece of meat. Meanwhile, Enzo Fernandez at full time gave his shorts away to a fan, only for that fan to then sniff them.
The hell are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure if I agree with what's going on here, to be honest. Back at Tottenham, their injury crisis has worsened. Although the likes of Van der Veen and Romero are, returning back soon, Radu Dragusin has now done his ACL and is out for the season. What is going on? What is happening to Tottenham players as soon as they walk into the physio room? Ange Postecoglou was quoted as saying that every time he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, it's actually an oncoming train. Although, to be fair, Radu has hardly set the world alight. I think Spurs fans will probably be running into the hospital room themselves to make sure he's definitely out for the season. Now, though, for real, as I said with Lisandro Martinez, get well soon, but hopefully he proves people wrong when he's back. And if he doesn't, well, I'm sure Copper 90 could do with a new host. On the pitch, though, for Spurs, and at least they did actually grab themselves a win in the league, beating Brentford 2-0, realising what it's actually like to win again. This is what it means to Pedro Porro, apparently. He doesn't even know what victory means anymore. He's not heard that word in the English language in months. There's been plenty of winning going on, though. At Everton, Davide Moyes has struck again.
2, 3, 4.
He might be the GOAT, 3 wins since coming back as Everton manager. He's only played 4 games.
Do the math on that, it's one goal a game.
Meanwhile, at Southampton, and they did even more of an unthinkable task, winning 1 football match. They beat fellow relegation strugglers Ipswich. One Ipswich fan had said that their run of form was like an all red fruit pastels pack, to which Southampton had a good reply, in fairness. Yeah, no, we'll give them a shithousery award as well. At Fulham, and they're trying to bring Willian back to the club, replacing a 35-year-old Willian with a 36-year-old Willian. He's lived in the same house since 2008, by the way, in London, and honestly, props to him. The local Tesco cashier knows his mum's maiden name. He just can't let go of Tape as a nightclub. He just wants to go there every week. Meanwhile, at Brighton, and there was an unconventional scorer in their women's match, with Mai Kato getting on the score sheet. How the fuck did you get there? But one man exiting the Premier League is Jhon Duran. Yeah, good old John here, as he's joined Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, and I, for one, am absolutely devastated. A chaos baller, an elite striker, gone from the Premier League at the age of 21, and gone to Saudi. To be honest, though, I don't blame him. Is it particularly ethical? Not really. To some degrees anyway, but he set up his family for life in it, so it kind of makes sense. He said in an interview that he always grew up watching the Saudi Pro League. Him and Hendrick are going lie for lie. John, please, you don't have to convince us like this. You were not growing up watching Abdullah Zubramawi. John, though, is now teammates with Al Nassr's Cristiano Ronaldo, a man involved in the GOAT conversation. And this week he was interviewed and he reckons he's the best ever. The most complete footballer of all time. Above the likes of Diego Maradona and Messi. I mean, yeah, he probably is more complete technically than Messi. He's got better aerial ability. But Lionel Messi also needed growth hormones, so that's not to be. To be fair, look, the Saudi League is getting more competitive, I guess. It's still nowhere near the levels, in my opinion. No matter how much Ronaldo thinks it's better than Liga, it just isn't. But the fact is, he's still playing and scoring at a high level at the age of 40. That is impressive. Doesn't change that Messi's better, but he also reckons he's had some terrible managers in his time. Erik ten Hag will be fuming seeing this interview. Meanwhile, Ralph Ragnarok is still getting violated to this day. Now, over in Italy, there's been some interesting transfer activity at AC Milan especially, who have brought in João Felix from Chelsea on loan. What actually is Chelsea's transfer strategy? To be fair, I'm being stupid in assuming that they actually even have one. This man just signed for Chelsea, right, permanently, on a 6-year contract 6 months ago, and now he's gone on loan to Milan. Somebody has to be held accountable for that terrible bit of business. Either way, he'll be enjoying himself at the San Siro because he scored on his Milan debut. Another man acclimatizing to life at AC Milan is Kyle Walker, who brought out his signature spit this week. I thought that was just reserved for wife number 7. I'm sorry, God, I'm taking it too far.
Obviously, things wasn't going too well.
And elsewhere at Milan, they also signed Mexican forward Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord, who's been scoring at an impressive rate in the Eredivisie. Can't lie though, probably gonna have a red chem link to American winger Christian Pulisic. This guy voted for Donald Trump, you know. This is gonna be the first time a wall has ever been built between a right winger and a striker. Santiago will be left concerned when Christian wears a MAGA hat to training. Meanwhile, elsewhere for AC Milan this week, they drew to Inter in the Milan derby, who scored a last-minute equaliser, and it saw Benjamin Pavard celebrating this challenge in front of Rafael Leao's face. And at Genoa, they might have the second best transfer announcement of the week.
What's my name? What's my name?
In Spain, and Real Madrid lost to Espanyol 1-0 thanks to a late goal, and they decided they're going to put a formal complaint into La Liga over the referees for this match. Real Madrid complaining. The refs must be bad. To be fair, Kylian Mbappe got absolutely crunched in this one, but them complaining about refs is like the mafia complaining about the crime rate in a city. These will be the scenes of the referees lining up for the next Real Madrid game. A team in the Barcelona zip code, by the way, has done a madness in favour of Barcelona. They need to have a long, hard look at themselves. Real did return to winning ways, though, with a victory over Leganes in which Luka Modric scored. We can see the scenes of him wheeling away to celebrate at the age of 39. Anthony made his debut for Real Betis and won man of the match. He's a whole new man now that he's left Manchester United. I do want to temper expectations, though, a little bit, because I believe this was fan voted and he was absolutely shit in the game. The actual best winger out there, though, in Spain at the moment is Lamine Yamal or Vinny Jr., but for the sake of this segment, let's go with Yamal, as he managed to dribble through absolutely everybody at the age of 17. This kid's a freak. He's going to win 7 Ballon d'Ors. At Bayern Munich, and Canadian wing-back Alphonso Davies has signed a new deal at the club. He celebrated that by bringing out a tune for it, Munching My Throne. Bro, you're not supposed to eat it, man. Come on, that's not that. Meanwhile, Bayer Leverkusen beat Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga, but the thing that I'm looking at, Granit Xhaka's hairline is mad. Hey, what? What do you mean he's signed for Galatasaray suddenly? In France, and there was brilliant news, beautiful scenes for Presnel Kimpembe, who's been out through an absolute injury nightmare, a complete horror story. He's been out of the game for 700 days, but this week returned to play for Paris Saint-Germain, so lovely stuff for him. Hopefully, the start of him getting a little bit of game time. In the Coupe de France, there were sensational scenes. Lille managed to lose this shootout from 3-0 up against lower league side Dunkirk. And speaking of which, 4th-tier side Stade Briochin brought out the ultimate upset by beating OGC Nice to reach the quarterfinals of the competition thanks to 2 late goals, the winner coming in the 97th minute, and now they've been drawn to play PSG. Now that it's time for goals of the week, we've got some unbelievable ones this time around. First of all, we start with a Madagascan footballer. Honestly, I'm kind of taking advantage of his name with this one. A goalkeeper's off his line, but it's still a great finish. But honestly, the goal has been scored by John Baggio Martial Rakatonamen Janahari. Yes, that's his name. Clearly inspired by a footballing legend, Anthony Martial. I don't know who you thought I was going for. In Italy, and Moise Kean is having a wonderful season for Fiorentina. He just scored 2 goals in a battering against Inter, but his flick earlier on in the week is what makes it into goals of the week. Honestly, what a finish. As the ball comes in over his shoulder, he flicks it with his right foot into the back of the net. But finally, we have a bit of skill there. Someone usually associated with skill, having scored a Rabona goal in his life, is Eric Lamela. However, this time, he's thrashing the ball into the back of the net, as directly from a corner, he strikes the sweetest volley into the top corner. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. Havertz, is that you? And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, elsewhere and in Brazil, Neymar was finally welcomed back to Santos upon his 6-month contract with the club having left Saudi Arabia. He was presented and kneeled down on a massive Santos shirt, but he couldn't even bend one of his knees, man. He might actually be a little bit finished. And he picked up another injury in this one. A ball to the balls. He did play against Botafogo, though, and players quite literally queued up to get a picture with him. This guy has got serious aura. In the Netherlands now, and there was a scandal between Fortuna Sittard and Robin van Persie's Heerenveen. Late on in the game, and Fortuna Sittard decided to make a substitution. However, they didn't actually sub a player off. Yeah, they had 12 players on the pitch, 11 outfielders. They were losing the game 2-1 at the time. I don't know whether it was on purpose or not, but they managed to score a late equaliser against Van Persie's side. I mean, it's having a 12th man from the crowd, and then there's this. I mean, surely some sort of repercussions, right? They'll just forfeit the game, I'm guessing. But either way, crazy scenes. UEFA have made an interesting decision this week. They've decided to give dual hosting for the Under-21s Euros Championship of 2027 to Albania and Serbia. Who the fuck signed this one off, bro? You're gonna have a militia Under-21 win the whole tournament. This is how games are gonna be going during this one, by the way. Crazy scenes. Love to Albania, love to Serbia. Love you guys a lot, but I just do fear that there will be scraps between them. That's all I'm saying. In Turkey, and Jose Mourinho started his footballing career after playing as a translator at Barcelona. So I'm sure he has a lot of sympathy for his own translator, who got a little bit baffled this week, getting confused between Twilight and toilets.
Sonda söylediğini çok merak ettim.
Here you said toilet zone.
No toilet zone. Twilight.
I mean, the movie was shit, to be fair, so I guess that I understand the correlation. Elsewhere, though, and he's been rattling people in Turkey as he congratulated Portugal's handball team, the sport, handball, over on Instagram by using a picture of a handball from Galatasaray, to which Mauro Icardi responded with an edit of a book saying the crying one on his story on Insta. This truly is a battle of the ages, by the way. If Jose Mourinho comes out now with a picture of him and Wandanara, I swear down, the whole universe is going to implode. But now, ladies and gentlemen, a new segment, the Shamrock Rovers mention. Yeah, someone in the comment section of FTW has relentlessly been asking me to talk about Shamrock Rovers from the Republic of Ireland. I have seen this and I have finally bowed down to peer pressure, so here is the update. It was a truly sensational victory for Shamrock Rovers on Monday as they defeated, I don't know who that is, Malahide United, probably pronouncing that wrong, but in the Leinster Senior Cup. They now face off against Dundalk. They're probably playing, as this video's just gone out, in what I can only imagine is the final group stage match. Having beaten Usher Celtic and Malahide United, now they sit top of the group. But will they win this prestigious award? Find out next week, I assume, when I get peer pressured into this again. In Argentina, we've got one fan here who's got a new trim, and it's of Lionel Messi on the back of his head. Well, at least he knows the hair won't grow out in this situation. And speaking of which, one fan got a little bit closer to Lionel this week, managing to beat his bodyguard, finally. It's taken months, maybe even years, but his bodyguard has finally been outsmarted by a random child from the stands. Over in Portugal, and Braga were feeling a certain type of way, talking about their Czech goalkeeper as the horny Czech.
Beg your pardon?
And over in the Netherlands, Jordan Henderson lost his rag with a Dutch journalist.
Can you say, Jordan, why you wanted to make a transfer to Monaco?
Based on what again?
The coach just told us that you wanted to go to Monaco.
The coach told you that I wanted to go to Monaco?
Yeah, but did Ajax tell you they wanted to sell you?
Well, they were negotiating, so I'd imagine they did, yeah. I'm not giving you details. I know the truth. I'm not here to give you details. I'm just here to tell you from my side.
But you say it's not true. Can you give details about the conversation with Alex?
No, I don't need to. I don't need to. You can, though.
I think you read it.
Eh?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was untrue?
What was untrue? Please tell me.
99% of it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get this stuff in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, I'll tell you that. Because no one would turn up for the press conferences. No one turns up for the games. So, closer to home, and at Chelsea, there's controversy surrounding Todd Bowley, who is apparently registered as being related to a website involved in the resale at higher prices of Chelsea tickets. Bro's trying to get the Joao Felix money back at Charlton, and they produced one of the best announcements of a transfer all year.
Cooper, Sutherland, Cartwright, and who have we under here?
McIntyre, sir.
Oh, let me guess. No one saw how this happened. I suppose you tripped.
No, sir. What happened is...
You're about to grass, are you? So I will ask you how this happened, and you will reply, I tripped.
I signed for Charlton. Up the attic.
At Blackburn, and they've come up with a new corner routine that involves nobody being in the area. Arsenal fans will be trying to claim this one. Genuinely, if you score a header from 27 yards out from a corner like this, the game's gone. At Sunderland, they took a victory against Middlesbrough. They haven't done so at the Riverside in a number of years. And Wilson and City Hall celebrated that by raising the corner flag with a Sunderland shirt on it. One Plymouth fan couldn't quite believe his luck when he hit the crossbar on the pitch. This celebration, an absolute corker.
Yes! Tommy! Yeah!
And a traditional non-league story next at Dorking Wanderers, who had to stop doing live updates at the ground for their most recent league match because the ball flew into the crowd and struck the laptop that the admin was using. The picture here shows that it's been absolutely deleted. And in good news, down in non-league football, Jordan Ibe, who obviously came through the ranks at Liverpool, had a decent Premier League career at Liverpool and then at Bournemouth, had kind of been struggling with his love for the beautiful game and mental health issues. He has returned to football but at a much lower level, seemingly happy, seemingly hungry, and has scored his first goal for Hungerford. Very happy for him, but the picture they've used is a madness. No graphics, you know, just a PNG edited into a dark room. Good stuff though, we love to see it truly. In Indonesia now, we've got some of the worst goalkeeping of all time. But what will happen next? A goal. B, not a goal. I don't really need to give you the rest of the options, do I? It wasn't a goal, obviously. What the heck is going on over in Indonesia? In Singapore now, we've got one of the craziest VAR calls I've ever seen. No penalty being given here, despite a defender going to pick up the ball, because apparently he didn't move towards it. Elsewhere in Scotland, this St Johnstone fan is using his hands a little bit more usefully by giving it a big one on both hands, by the way. In Malaysia, PDRM were on the receiving end of a spanking. They ended up 4-0 down. They thought the goal was offside, but genuinely genuinely had given up by this point anyway. And up in Scotland once again, Duncan Ferguson was off to see Flint Town this week. He grabbed himself a cuppa, a nice hot drink by the sidelines, but clearly didn't really enjoy it all that much. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and this week we have genuinely got a record. I have never been recommended a story quite as much as this one. Genuinely, I must have been tagged in this hundreds of times. We're heading over to Palmerstown FC. Now, there's a lot of red cards given in amateur football, okay? Some of the challenges that fly in are reminiscent of the good old days. But sometimes there's a unique red card that you just can't ignore. Sometimes there's a red card that happens before the game's even started. Well, that's what's happened here at Palmerstown, as one of their players has been given a red card in, quote, the 0th minute of the game for going and having a piss down by the sidelines. This is absolutely, this is heritage. This is what Still 0-0 was designed for. His manager will have had some harsh words for him at half-time.
You know, let's not take the piss.
On to the weird stuff though now, and we start with a story in our beautiful nation of Romania. Romania has had a bit of a break, I can't lie. People had actually thought that I'd somehow forgotten about this beautiful nation. Not the case. There just hadn't really been anything going on in the country. That was until today, where there's the quite impressive feat of CS Maioveni, a team who currently play in the 2nd division of Romanian football. They've played 16 games so far this season and sit bottom of the league. Things not going that great for them. Yeah, the reason is because they're on minus 66 points. And they've got a terrible goal difference as well, so they're clearly struggling, just generally speaking. But they were deducted 74 points at the start of the season due to unpaid wages. I have never seen a team get deducted this many points. I think it is fair to say they're down, probably, at the very least. And finally, we have got the story of Ryan Kent, who could well be on the move. Now, Ryan rose to fame, really, I guess, for his stint at Rangers, having played at Liverpool as a youngster. He's kind of been a bit all over the place recently, playing at Fenerbahce, but having his contract terminated by Jose Mourinho back in 2024. He's been a free agent since, but he might just be signing for an Iranian side called Persepolis. So there's a lot of reasons why a player might want to go to a club, maybe a financial boost, maybe just the reputation of the team. But Ryan Kent's story is not like any of that. He wants to go there because it is in fact legal to keep crocodiles at your home, and he has a pet crocodile. So he's been finding it actually quite difficult to find a club where that's legal and also will allow him to do so. Whereas Persepolis, it's legal in the country, so he can get away with it. That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.